Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. I think things are working here. There we go. Good morning. Good morning, G2. I'm getting a little bit of a late start today, so I just sat down. I haven't even really had a chance to look at the charts yet today. So let's go ahead and do that now. Tony Lee, good morning. Well, it looks like the ATR number is actually, we're sitting at around a 50 right now. 48.5 or 4 times ATR. So the price is moving. Looks like we had a really nice drop overnight. Wish I was awake for that. You can see the confirmation line over here rounded down. Started to round down about, looks like 5:45 or so this morning, Central Time. Continued to move down. We had a delta cross here, but a little bit of turbulence there. This lower high from the red zone would have been a really good short. From here to, well, if you just took it to the first tick up from the lower power zone, looks like that would have been 48 points right there. Looks like there was another 48 points or so on the way down. So about a 100-point drop right there. But now, so we've had this, let's see if you guys can see this. Here, I'll just change my view to the 1 minute. There we go. So you can see this confirmation line has come down and it's flattened out down here. And now we're starting to pull back up. So usually, once it starts pulling back up this way, this is the area where you want to look for longs. So we got the delta above the confirmation line. We have a positive sloping confirmation line and a positive sloping delta. However, we do have a lower high tick down from the red zone. I would not necessarily short that at this point, just because it looks like we're trying to turn back around here. So I'm going to be waiting for a long, potentially. On the higher time frames and the hourly, you can see once we cross that, here, let me change my view back to where I was. There we go. On the higher time frames, you can see the hourly now. We crossed that confirmation line to the downside. We've been dropping ever since. So, and that was Friday morning when we made that cross. So we kind of predicted that from Friday. On the 15-minute, same thing. We've been under that confirmation line and bearish. And on the 5-minute, look at those delta candles in the 5-minute. They got really fat right there. So bearish to the downside on the 5 as well. This lower high tick down on the 1 from that red zone, you can short that because the delta is negative right there. But like I said, the confirmation line looks like it's starting to want to turn back up. So I would probably be waiting for a long instead. We can go ahead and simulate this one. Let's just see if we would have got a winner out of it. So far, it'd be a winner. And let's check on the news and see what we got going on today from a news perspective. Looks like we have Chicago PMI today at 8:45. That's the next news event. It looks like it's a medium since it's orange. Medium impact. The orange is medium impact and the red is high impact. If you're looking at the news on TOMMYBOTS. So Chicago PMI at 8:45 Central Time. We have pending home sales, another medium impact at 9. And that's about it. Tomorrow, not too much going on. 8 a.m. S&P CS Composite 20 HPI. I'm not even sure what that is, but it's probably not going to do too much. So maybe we get a little bit of chop here until PMI, and then maybe we open back up. So there's a tick up from the green zone. So yeah, see that if we shorted that, we would be underwater right now. We do have some chop in here. I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. That's our thin and spotty and alternating delta. I'll go ahead and remove this box since we're not in that trade. Looks like we pulled up to, see the orange line right here? That's the anchored VWAP. Really like that anchored VWAP. That's from the 7 a.m. New York session. That's where the anchor is. So we just wicked to it there. We wicked to it here. And the normal VWAP is way up here at 21,569. So we'll see if we start climbing here. We still have a rising delta and a rising confirmation line. So we're looking for a long. Or I am looking for a long, put it that way. Even though we're bearish across the board. But this, once you start seeing this confirmation line turn this way, that's your heads up to start looking for longs. So the higher time frames don't really matter too much in that scenario. I mainly use those higher time frames just to try to trigger the higher time frame early from the 1, or if I'm already in a trade, I can use those as a exit strategy if I want to stay in longer, if it looks like we're going to start trending hard on the higher time frame. All of that is detailed in the playbook. It looks like we're going to open here in about 21 seconds or so. So are we going to keep pushing, or are we going to drop it here? Looks like we're open now. Starting to put in another lower high there. Delta is very weak. And we did put in that lower high. The second lower high, and from the red zone with a very weak delta. So you could have shorted that, but but I'm not looking for shorts at the moment. Let's see how far that one dropped. It's like it went 28 points since the close of that candle. Delta's trying to round back down here. It's possible that it continues to round down and goes back under that confirmation line, but I think we'll probably get a little bit of a bounce here first. Maybe. Just took out that swing low. Delta is gaining some momentum back to the downside. It's falling back in line with the 5-minute and the 15. If we get a tick up from this this lower power zone, we will have a little bit of bullish divergence. One second, my dog wants to go outside. It's still looking really heavy. Doesn't look like we're going to get that long out of there. That ATR is really high right now, so an 80 tick stop is going to be pretty tiny. Yeah, look at that. Might be better just to wait. However, this is a long signal here. So, let's see. Looks like your stop would have to be like 125 ticks to be more in line with things. So, if you do enter a trade here, you probably want to size down. Keep in mind, we have that Chicago PMI coming up at 8:45. Might be more conservative just to wait until that's over. We're still ticking up from that lower power zone. However, the delta is dropping. It doesn't look like it's really thinning out. And we're back under that confirmation line now. So well, it kind of popped back up there at the last second. If you entered on that tick up from the lower power zone, and you did use the swing low for your stop, you would currently have a winner going on. Looks like 80 ticks would have got stopped out. Just got picked up for a long right underneath that 8. 362.25 is where I'm in. I decided to go long there just because we did close above the 8. Got a short leash on this one. I'm just looking for 125 ticks. if I can get it. And it's saying nope. I went in with 80 tick stop and got stopped out on that one. So these candles are too big. That delta still has this negative slope to it. So that's not very good for the bulls. I thought it would turn there, but the market said nope. These delta candles are actually still getting thicker as it's dropping here, so it is looking like the bears are taking back over. Hey, J-Waz is here. Good morning, J-Waz. Yeah, pre-market drop was pretty nice. I wish I was awake for that. One of these days, I'm just going to start waking up super early and trading pre-market because there's usually a lot of good moves. And the moves tend to be smoother compared to New York. All right, it's 8:45, so that Chicago PMI should be in. Printing a little bit of bullish divergence at the moment. Good morning. We just hit our average daily range line. That's that dark green line there. Yeah, it's the second to last day in 2024. It's crazy. 2025 is right around the corner. You guys doing anything fun for New Year's? I'm actually going to see a band that I used to play in. I used to play in a band called Good for Gary. I started that band with a group of guys in 2007, 2008. And I played in that band until like 2012, I think it was. Had kids, and it was just hard to keep doing the whole band thing, having kids at the same time. Since we were playing every weekend, and sometimes I'd get home at like 5 o'clock in the morning if the gig was super far away. So that was no fun. Well, it was fun, but it was no fun getting home super late. And but yeah, they're still playing. They still play pretty big shows here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minneapolis. So going to see them tomorrow night. One second, guys. My daughter just woke up. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. I am back. Hope they call you on stage. Yeah, I don't think they'll be calling me on stage tomorrow. Maybe they will, I don't know. It's been a while. I'm probably pretty rusty. And these are the types of guys that they don't like to just kind of wing stuff like that. That everything's got to be planned out perfectly. So like if they were going to invite me up, they would probably, want to like run through a practice or something first. They're those types. I used to be in a different band where we never practiced. We played for, when I was in college, we played for like 2 years, and I think we practiced one time. So like basically every show that we played was a practice. So anything went, during those times. It was more of a jam band, I guess you'd say. Well, we got the delta trying to turn back up here. Still have that bullish divergence. Could be temporary. You know, you look at this delta, it's been in this lower power zone. It tried to crawl up here and then it went right back in the lower power zone. So part of me is kind of thinking, well, maybe we're going to go into an extended downtrend today. I don't know. However, we did hit our average daily range, which is right here. And that's typically a good point to turn. So wouldn't be surprised if we turn now. We wicked right to it perfectly. See if the delta can get back above that confirmation line. Still looking pretty weak though. And we are ticking down right near that midline. Looks like it might have touched the red zone. If it did, it barely did. So if you do think that we are either in or going in more of a sustained downtrend, this might be a good short here. Delta is weak. It's not quite in that red zone though. $5-minute, the 15, and the hourly are still looking pretty darn bearish though. Confirmation line on all of those is still heading south. Got more chop setting in here on the 1. Those thin and spotty deltas are kind of dangerous. However, we do have a little bit of a positive slope on the delta, and we are getting a tick up above a rising delta. So that is a delta squeeze. However, if we're in a sustained downtrend, you're not really supposed to go against the trend on those. But if you want to be really risky, you could take a long there. If you want to be more aggressive. That wasn't a fit. No, yeah, I guess it was official. It did tick up. You know, there seems to be a little bit of a delay in my TradingView today. I don't know if that's my computer or if that is my TradingView. I'm going to try restarting my TradingView. See if that helps. So you're going to lose my chart here for a second. Yeah, it's starting to look more like a sustained downtrend, guys. Putting in another lower high on that signal line. Another giant candle. I really kind of dislike the whole sustained trends. I know a lot of guys like that, but I would much rather that the market just kind of range or go sideways a bit. Because these sustained trends can get pretty choppy. Even though the price is going one direction, it's usually it's a bumpy ride going that direction. So if you took that lower high short, would an 80 tick stop be enough? Barely. It does look like it would have worked though. Definitely would have got 31 points out of that one. Looks like Bitcoin itself is having quite the drop right now. It's down to 91,685. The 9 o'clock candle is in, so I was wondering if we were going to get an hourly flip here. And there is a big candle. Just as I said that. So far that candle's 54 points. And on that candle, we got the tick up from the lower power zone. Are we going to get the hourly flip here, guys? And start to turn more bullish? What was that 9 o'clock news? I didn't think we had anything at 9. Oh, pending home sales. That's what that was. Delta's still pretty thick to the downside. I don't think those pending home sales are going to be enough to turn it around. Good morning, Jason. Man, these candles are big. 4x ATR sitting at 115 right now. It does look like it's trying to turn back up here. We're back above the 8. Delta's starting to taper down. It's getting thinner. We did take out that average daily range. I just went long on the 8 there. Just looking for a quick one. Got my stop at break even. There we go. Nice, quick and easy one. 31 1/4. We're ticking down near that midline. In a sustained downtrend, that is a short, that tick down there. However, I did not take it. Still don't like this really thin, spotty delta that we keep putting in here. Just not really a lot of conviction either way. Reason why I went long on that last one was because that pending home sales really took the price up here. So the bulls came in, we fell back, and then we closed back above the 8. So usually when it closes above the 8, you can get a, if you enter on the 8 in that scenario, you can usually get a decent trade out of it. All right, right, so we got a rising delta. It is back above the confirmation line, and we're ticking back up, which is more of a bullish situation. I just went long there on the 8. Now this one, could run a little bit longer if we start to break this trend line here. Therefore, I'm going to give this one more room to run. VWAP is way up here at 474.75. It's a potential target. The 200 here at 437 is also a potential target. If we can even get there. I might be setting my sights too high prematurely here. We're back at the 50, seeing a little bit of resistance here. Got to get through that 50. And then this order block here will probably be a good line of resistance here. We also got a pivot line right there. Got the previous week low right there at VWAP. So I would say that is probably a decent target just at that pivot. So that's what I'm going to go for at 461.50. If we can get there. Still looking a little dicey. Jason Richardson, read your playbook. I've been charting on TOS. Definitely going to make the switch. Cumulative volume on TOS is interesting, not the same note. Yeah, it's very different. The cumulative delta on other platforms is it's like an entirely different indicator. It's hard to even compare them. Delta still rising nicely, which is what we want to see. As long as that delta keeps rising and we get the confirmation line to start turning up a little bit more, And as long as this signal stays above the confirmation line, there's a good chance we could get up there. But this orange line here, the anchored VWAP, that might give us a little bit of a problem getting through that. We did just tick down from that upper power zone, so I'm moving my stop to break even now. Because we know that those power zones really like to throw it the other direction. And I'm out. Yeah, I set my sights too high, maybe a little prematurely on that one. Break even. Now we just wait for the next setup. You can see the delta is already starting to turn negative now. Those power zones. Probably should have just shorted that. Oh well. Break evens are fairly normal for me to have a lot of those. See how far it ran though. It ran 41 points. If I was looking for my standard 125 ticks, I would have got it. You know, sometimes it's better just to have smaller targets. It's fun getting those big winners, though. That's what keeps things exciting. Yeah, if you look at the delta today, like ever since we started, we got chop here, we got chop here, we got chop here, and we're starting to print more chop right here. So, and that just tells me that, I don't know, today might just be a chop day. That's a lot of chop for the first hour. It's not even the first hour yet. Still a holiday week, so, you know, it probably has something to do with it too. Is the market open all day tomorrow? Does anybody know? Or is it a half day? My dog wants back in. I'll be right back. We're losing that delta slope. That didn't last very long. It was looking really good, and then that power zone, it turned on a dime. Overall, we still do have this positive slope here, and we are above that confirmation line. So I'm still looking for a long here. Or a short, a long or a short. Because on the 5-minute, we are ticking down. The 5-minute delta is pretty flat and still negative. Everything's still pointing down on the higher time frames. So if I could get a long here, I'll take it. But if I can get a short setup, I'm going to take that too. Now the delta candles look like they're getting a little thicker to the downside now. This might be that same scenario we had earlier where things were looking like we were moving up and then we turned back down under the confirmation line. Go back into this sustained downtrend potentially. Still looking pretty heavy. Might get a potential double bottom scenario here. Yeah, 80 tick stops are tiny today, for sure. For sure. But if you could time the entry right, then you don't have to worry too much about that. For example, this tick down from the upper power zone, there's like virtually no drawdown on that one if you took it. Same with these lower highs earlier. 80 tick stop is pretty darn small for this price action, though. Back under that confirmation line. Delta still dropping on the 1. We're starting to tick down below that delta. Starting to flash a little bit of a higher low there on the signal. You know, I had this last chop box marked off as chop, but it's not really chop because we never did turn positive again there. So it just went from positive to negative. So we'll go ahead and remove that one. It was flashing positive when I put it on there. All right. Did we put in that higher low? No? Looks like it wasn't official. I'm kind of feeling a double bottom going on here, guys. I don't know about you. We've kind of been hugging this average daily range line for a while now. Delta starting to turn positive. I think I might go ahead and give this one a shot. All right, I'm long there at the 8. At 279.50. Schroden, wait, why long? Sorry, I must have missed something. Well, this is not in the playbook right here, but I've just seen this situation quite a bit. So I guess this is maybe more of, I guess I'd say maybe an advanced setup. So the delta, it tried making a run here. It kind of fell back and failed. We started to put in more of a double bottom. We were printing a higher low here, and the delta's been tapering this whole time. And it tapered to a fine point. And anytime it does that, it's usually kind of like when it's on the fence of breaking one way or the other. And because we're so close to this lower power zone, the odds of it breaking up, in my mind, are higher than it breaking down. But instead of entering on the close of that candle, it's usually a little safer to just enter on the 8. And then if it closes under the 8, I can pull the plug, and it's usually a small loss. So usually when you weigh out the, risk to reward, it's usually pretty good if you use the 8. Or I should say it's better if you use the 8. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. I wouldn't really recommend anybody going long there, but sometimes you just got to jump right in, And now I have my stop at break even, so I am totally risk off. Targeting that swing high for 75 points. Back up to that 50, rejected a little bit off of it. See if we can break through this time. Oh, the 8 is I use a 8 SMA. That's this white line right here. It's not an EMA, it's an SMA. And I just got taken out at break even. I hate it when I get taken out like to the tick and then it just goes in the direction that I wanted it to go. That's frustrating. And look at right there where it took me out. That's where we got chop. Another chop box. Man, that sucks. That's where, you know, moving your stop to break even can sometimes hurt you more than it helps you. I know I've said that one too many times. Looks like that went a total of 33.25 points before it pulled back, so I would have got my 31 points out of it. But I was going for 75 here on that swing high. We'll see if it gets there. G2, I was hoping that we would get a sweep of the last low there. Well, you know, when I was looking at this, I was looking at it as we already swept the low over here. And we were starting to put, like we tried to sell off, we couldn't. We ticked back up 2 times by that lower power zone without sweeping that low. So that was telling me that we were likely going to just double bottom here and take out this swing high, which we just did. So I would have got that 75 points out of there had I not moved my stop to break even. It just had to throw that last bit of chop right in there just to take me out before it moved. Now the delta looks beautiful. You see how it's not how the delta candles are consistently growing now? It's moving up more aggressively than it has been all morning. You look at all these other pullbacks, see how the delta is really thin right here, really thin, really thin. There's just no conviction in any of these moves. And now this is the most conviction we've had all morning to the upside. And for that reason, I would not short this power zone tick down that we're starting to print right now. Now we do have the potential to build a broadening formation here where we end up doing something like this and then coming back down and taking out this low. Going back to the yellow line, we do have that potential, but because this is the strongest conviction that we've seen all morning, I think that's kind of a a risky move to try to short that. It could play out though. Anything's possible. Yep, confirmation line starting to move up. So things are bullish. We should be looking for longs. We also have a delta squeeze on the 5. You see that? Hasn't quite crossed the confirmation line yet, but it doesn't have to for the squeeze. Just has to be in that lower power zone. And if you look at the 5, this is the first delta squeeze that we've had throughout this entire drop. So it's a good sign for the bulls. Still bearish on the hourly, but it's not that significant when we're trading the 1. Yeah, 5-minute delta is thin, so as JWaz points out, still want to be fairly cautious. We did make it through that anchored VWAP. We are sitting above it right now. We'll see if it can hold. Delta looks really nice and strong on the 1 though. Well, that sucks. That would have been a nice 75-pointer to put on the board. I was also one of those with like virtually no drawdown. I like those trades. Looks like we retested or tested the anchored VWAP at that 21,349 area. And now we're moving back up to the 200. If I was in this trade, I would be targeting my earlier target over here that I was trying to target a while back. I was just too early on it. That's this pivot line and this this order block up here, which is at 461. We also have the VWAP, which is now sitting underneath at 449. All right, now we're starting to reject off the 200. Will we get a pullback here? It's the second tick down we've had in the upper power zone. Nice, JWaz. 120 ticks off that 200. I'm going to go for a potential short off the 8. Just to see if I can snag a quick one. Yeah, you're right, JWAS. With all that downward pressure, there are going to be a lot of sellers sitting up there. We do have these gaps to fill down here now, so I would like to get picked up on the 8 and then come down, fill these gaps, hit my take profit, and go back up. However, I I prefer to be in on that next candle that closed after it closed under the 8. So now we're already 2 candles in from that, so I just went ahead and canceled my order. I've already come down to the 20. We could potentially bounce off there in the 50s right there too. Well, if I would have caught the 8, that would have been a good little short. It just didn't quite make it up there. My limit order was like right there. And I would have got my 31 points there. That's the downside of trying to use the 8 instead of just going off the close, is that you can miss the trade. Miss the trade, miss the train. I just redrew the top of my Browning formation line here. And that lines up way better. It wicked right to the top of that line if you use this wick and this wick. You know, and usually if you retrace more than 50% through the magnitude of this, it usually will want to come down and take out that other low. So this other low is still in play here. If anybody's short, that'd be a target. We're also flashing a tick down on the 5 from the midline with negative thin and negative delta. So we're still pretty weak on the 5. Could be more downside. So we have a negative sloping delta. Signal is underneath, ticking down on the 5. So if the 5 ends up being official, if we could trigger that on the 5 potentially if we tick down under this falling delta on the 1. That's a potential short entry if it can do it. However, you're still going against the overall slope on the 1 is still positive. Confirmation line gives you that. So a little bit of a disagreement there. You got a negative sloping delta, positive sloping confirmation line. Stewart, signal line could squeeze off the confirmation line as a trade idea. Off the confirmation line? I guess I don't know what you mean by that. You know, technically, as far as the definition of a delta squeeze goes in the playbook, it's got to be near a power zone. So, like, if it happens in the middle of the screen, I wouldn't really call that a squeeze, but however, you know, I said that we should be looking for longs here because the confirmation line has a positive slope. The delta is above the confirmation line. So even though we have this short-term negative slope on the delta, overall, we should be looking for longs. And we did get a tick up from the green zone. So you could have taken that long there, but if we ticked down below this negative sloping delta, that is and if the delta candles were getting thicker as that happened to the downside, then I would have jumped in short and tried to target this other low over here. So that's the trade I was looking for. I wasn't really looking for this particular long right here, but now that we got the delta turning back up, I'm more interested in a long if we can get a higher low on the signal here. You know, another thing that could potentially happen, since we rejected off the 200 there fairly aggressively, that creates this order block right here. And so we could come up to that, sell off again, and put in a lower high in the red zone. And if the delta is still really weak and falling, that is a potential short there as well. However, I'm more bullish than I am bearish, just because we're above the confirmation line. We got the positive slope there. Now we're starting to get, on the short term, a positive slope on the delta as well. So things are looking bullish. So I'm looking for a higher low on the signal. But if you're trying to trade in line with the 5, currently we are ticked down on the 5 from the red zone. So if you wanted to be in line with that, you would wait for a lower high with a weak delta from the red zone. I just don't see it right now. Things are looking bullish. We are ticking up above a rising delta, so this is another, you know, it's another potential long setup here. But you would be going long right into that order block. If you're just looking for cumulative delta signals and not looking at order blocks, you would probably go long here. So I think I might actually take this one. All right, I am long from 371. My stop is pretty darn tiny though, so I've got to keep that in mind. Also keep in mind we are at that order block, but this is looking really good. I like the way that this delta is turning up the way it is. Looks like I would have been better entering on the 8 instead of getting in on that candle close. It almost took my stop out. And I knew there was probably going to be a little bit of a sell-off there with that order block, so hopefully we could still power through it. That 8 would have been a lot better, though. And it took me out. I knew that one was a little risky going into that order block there. And an 80 tick stop is just way too small. So you got to have your timing just perfect if you're going to use a small stop like that. We did tick back up on the 5, by the way. And we do have a little bit of a rising delta on the 5. And it's above the confirmation line now on the 5. I'm going to go ahead and flip the 5 to bullish. So is it going to have another go at this? Delta's still rising. It's getting thicker. Looks like it wants to. We are ticking up near that midline. It did touch the green zone. It is valid. So I think I'm going to give this another shot for a long here. All right, I'm long off the 8. That happened pretty quick. And hopefully we can stay above that 8. If we're going to start chopping the 8, I'm out. Still holding above the 8. Yeah? All right, hold on. All right, hold on, guys. Okay. All right, we are starting to push through this order block. My target is actually I was going to target this other order block up there, but yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I was trying to decide if I should target that or VWAP. VWAP would be more conservative. However, I kind of like to set my target higher, and then if I get an exit signal on the cumulative delta, then I'll exit early. That's usually a good compromise. So, but if we could get there really quick, 461.50 is my preferred target. Man, Delta is just not having it yet. It's very thin. We need to have a little bit more conviction in here from the bulls. That might not happen until we get above the 200. We did get a tick down near that upper power zone. Delta's starting to turn negative. Not going to pull it quite yet. Giving it one more little chance here. And I just pulled it at break even. And I did that because Delta's negative. It's really weak. The bulls aren't here. We did tick down from, it was almost in that upper power zone. I mean, well, yeah, it was in there, just barely. So better be safe than sorry. And the momentum just is not there. So another break even on the board. Stuart Watson, could the confirmation line on the 15 be potential resistance for the signal line? Meaning, could price go back down, which aligns with the order blocks experienced? It's a great question. I personally have not seen the signal react to the confirmation line in that way, like as resistance or support. But that's a great question. I guess I would have to look at the charts and see if that's a thing. If it is, I'm not aware of it. So the delta is, it's thin and spotty and choppy, but it's still rising. So the bulls still have the upper hand here, but man, they're making it tough. Got more chop in here now. Starting to get a little bit more bulls jumping in here. The thickness of the delta is increasing, and we are getting a tick up again. A little reluctant to try this one, though. I'm going to get a refill and be right back. It's getting a little cold. You know, it's cold in the house, but it's actually relatively warm outside. I don't know what it's like where you guys are at, but there has been just this nasty thick layer of fog that's just been hanging here for like days, which is very odd for this time of year. Actually, very odd for any time of year. I've lived here since 2009, and I don't think I've ever seen a fog like this. Well, those bulls are trying to step it up. We're back above the 200 now. We just took out that other swing high. See how the slope of the delta here was a little bit of a leading indicator? I see that a lot. The slope definitely matters. Got to pay attention to the slope. JWAS, a tick down on the 5 soon could coincide with VWAP touch as possible short setup. Yeah, the signal on the 5 is up in that upper power zone, so potentially, yes. However, the 5-minute has officially entered bullish territory. So still want to be looking for longs. Doesn't mean you can't get the shorts too. Wish I would have caught this. I tried. I went long twice. Still didn't get it. There's just not enough momentum today. Delta is starting to get stronger, though. I do like to see that. We need to see some decent swings come back in here. Enough of this thin, spotty Delta crap. Didn't quite make it to VWAP. Not yet. Still technically bullish, though. We'll see if we can bounce and stay above this other little order block here. If we lose that order block, then we're going to start turning bearish again. We are flashing a tick down from that power zone on the 5. JWAS, do you use the simple moving average for the 200? I think I remember you saying that it was the simple moving average. Excuse me. Mine's at EMA. At least I think I have it set to EMA. Yeah. Mine's an EMA. Delta's still positive. We are angled down, but if we get a tick up in this green zone, I still think that's a long. Okay, it is an SMA. We're sitting right on the 20. Does appear that we're starting to lose it, though. Potentially. Can we bounce? If that delta can stay positive and we tick up here, I think I'm going to go long. And I am long. From 391. It's fighting with the 5 a little bit since we're ticked down from that upper power zone on the 5. Something to be aware of. And so if we do lose the 20 here, then I am going to stop out. We're sandwiched right in between the 20 and the 200. Let's go ahead and target VWAP for this one, if we can get up there. Actually, no, I'm going to go ahead and target my original target, 461.25. And then if I, excuse me, if I get an exit signal before then, I'll just exit. Delta on the 15 is definitely turning up now. We are ticking up on the hourly. So everything is still looking fairly bullish. On the 1, that is. We also have the delta on the 1 starting to turn back up. Now, if we go in and put in a tick down under this delta, some guys might think that that's a short, but if this delta is still turning up with a positive slope and it does that, that's not a delta squeeze. It's not a short. So in order for it to be short, you have to have a negative slope or negative delta. So as long as we have this positive slope and it's gaining strength, we're good. The first target, if you're planning on scaling out of this, would be VWAP here at 438.25. Next target would be this 461 area. Or don't look at any of that and just wait for the exit signal on the cumulative delta. That's the easiest thing to do. So will we have a bunch of sellers here at the VWAP is the question. Is the delta strong enough to power through that? Starting to show a little bit of bearish divergence now. We're ticking down, lower high in the signal, and a higher high in the price. It's not official. But that, if you're just using cumulative delta to take profit, that would be your first take profit point. I'm going to close that last candle. But we still have a rising delta, which is fairly strong, so I'm holding in there on this one. All right, gun it up there. Can she do it? Can she do it? I think she can do it. I have faith in the market in this move. Don't disappoint me, market. You can do it. She's almost there. There we go. 70 points in the bag. Delta still hasn't given an exit signal, so we'll see if that happens here sometime soon. But you know, guys, it is 10:45 Central Time. The market's kind of choppy today. Look at all these chop boxes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of been chopping all morning. I mean, this is one of the better moves that we've had today. So I think I am just going to call it a day here and be happy with my 61.25 points and try again tomorrow. So if you guys keep trading, good luck. We will see you tomorrow. All right, take care, guys.
Oh, wow, look at that move. It's like one of those big Delta candles. I mean, who even trades those tiny candles anymore? I like big fat candles, I can't deny. When the delta's green and riding high, when a chart spikes thick with a bullish wick, I'm glued to my screen, that's the trick. I want a pound split, can't let it go. Big delta bars, let that volume show. I'm zooming out, yeah, that's my groove. Catching waves in a delta move. Wanna trade slow? Nah, too tame. This market's got heat, I'm in the game. Delta skinny, not my taste. Fat candles on my happy place. Oh, traders, let me see that line. When the buyers push, I feel just fine. It's the fat move, no squeeze fake. I'm in this trend with no break. Got entries, stacking tall, no weak signals, I'm all in, y'all. Skinny candles just ain't for me. Big delta's my golden key. Sitting tight while volume pops. Green wave up won't make me stop. Short candles, nope, they're a bore. Give me fat deltas, I want more. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through, you know. Then hope and play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make it right. Big fat candles, can't deny. When the volume surges up so high, skinny trades can take a seat. Big fat deltas are what I beat. Well, traders, let me see that log is cause I'm my happy. Delta skinny, not my taste. Fat candles on my happy place. Oh, traders, let me see that line. When the buyers push, I feel just fine. It's the fat move, no squeeze fake. I'm in this trend with no break. Got entries, stacking tall, no weak signals, I'm all in, y'all. Skinny candles just ain't for me. Big delta's my golden key. Big delta's my golden key. Sitting tight while volume pops. Green wave up won't make me stop. Short candles, nope, they're a bore. Give me fat deltas, I want more. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through, you know. And hold and play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make it right. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through, you know. Then hold and play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make